Ali is the founder of XR Masters. It's an AR cloud studio specializing in spatial content management. He's the co-founder of On-Site Viewer, an innovation platform focused on photorealistic AR cloud experiences, and also the senior testbed coordinator of the Open Spatial Computing Platform, also known as OSCP, an Open AR Cloud Association. So thanks for coming, Ali.
Thank you.
And with him, we've got the one and only Omri Stein, CEO of ReSight, president or founder and CEO of ReSight. Thank you, guys. And I'm going to let you introduce your judges.
Yes.
Yeah.
First, welcome to the AR Cloud Challenge. And we would like to now invite our distinguished judges. So please, first, Lisa Watts, Vice President of Product Marketing and Planning at Magic Leap. We have Gabriel Rene, the CEO of Versus. And we are, I don't know hers, Naomi, right here. Naomi, please come to the stage. What is yours?
I don't have it.
Okay. Naomi, can you please give a word about yourself?
Mic on. Hello. Hi, I'm Naomi. I've spent the last few years as a researcher and XR innovation specialist at Magic Leap and the United Nations Development Program. My work focused around city-scaled AR use cases, so kind of envisioning how people will be using AR in the next 10 to 20 years.
Rene, Gabriel Rene.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. Great to be here. My name is Gabriel Rene. I'm the CEO of Versus. We are a spatial web operating system company that's essentially building a next-generation platform for developing XR-related and IoT-related applications. I'm also the executive director of the Spatial Web Foundation, and we're working to develop the core standards upon which Industry 4.0 and Web 3.0 or metaverse-type applications can be built to enable the open interoperability between things like the AR cloud and the metaverse and smart cities and those types of systems all work together in a larger spatial web network.
And Lisa Watts.
Yes, I'm Lisa Watts. As I said, I'm Vice President of Product Marketing Planning at Magic Leap. Joined there in June. Prior to that, I was doing some consulting, and then prior to that, I was at Intel Corporation for 25 years and got to do some great immersive projects the last 5-6 years I was there, as well as participate in supporting the Open AR Cloud Initiative over the last few years. So happy to be here and able to judge today.
Thank you very much.
Next slide. Okay. So before we see the project and have the judges discuss and give their feedback to the product, we wanted to tell you a little bit about the challenge itself. And it's a community-organized challenge. It came down from the community, many different tech partners that we'll introduce later on. AWE, of course, thank you for the team here. And I wanted to say a few words about the goals of the challenge. And basically is to push the envelope and create better XR applications that explore the ability to create on-location, multi-user applications for persistent augmented reality content. The challenge theme was chosen to be connecting people together and to explore how you can take these technologies that we are working on creating and making more common and use them in order to bring people together. I think after these last 2 years of COVID and distancing and everything that has to do with that, we felt like how we can use technology to counter that a little bit. And when we are talking about the AR cloud and the AR cloud application or spatial applications, I think that it can say a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but what came out of many different discussions we had was these 4 principles of what makes an augmented reality application an AR cloud or spatial application. The first one is that the content has to be persistent. It has to stay there over time. If you put some kind of digital object in the world, it will stay there forever or until you delete it. The second thing is that it has to be social in the sense that everybody can see it together. If you have the same application as me and the same device or on a different device, you'll still be able to see and interact with the same content at the same time at the same space. The third one is that as a user, you shouldn't have to think about scanning or doing anything special, really. All you have to do is open the application and see the world with the magic inside it. And the fourth one, and one of the important ones, is also that the content has to be in context to the physical environment, to the geometric and the semantic understanding of the world. So if you have something that you put on the table, it will behave differently than if you put it on the floor. And applications that takes from these 4 principles and embodied them, I think this is what we are trying to actually create. And this is what the community and the whole challenge is about, creating this kind of applications that are not common today. Next.
Let me talk about the challenge timeline. What you're seeing here today is actually the tip of the iceberg. The challenge started in mid-August, where all the participants submitted their final registration. And there were a group of tech partners, which we will be talking about today, giving information about them. Then those tech partners started giving workshops. And these workshops are still available on the channel webpage if you would like to see. And then these tech partners were matched with participants. And there was a long time where participants worked closely with tech partners. And this was actually a community event for community. So all tech partners took part with participants, and they really worked hard to get to this point. And as you can see in the timeline, the last submissions happened end of October. And today we are here very glad to show you those presentations.
So a little word about our tech partners and sponsors and organizers. So as I said earlier, it came together as a community effort. And really a lot of great companies were involved. But first of all, I want to thank AWE as the platform for this competition and challenge and for all the things that they did for it. And more than that, there are many different companies. I want to say a few words about each one of them. Other than just providing content and the workshop, as Ali told you, they actually worked and helped develop together with the different teams the applications that you'll see later on. And of course, the sponsors. So let's go on, please. Thank you. So first of all, from the organizers, there's ReSight, which is a startup working to building augmented reality platform that makes it easy to develop and deploy spatial apps, persistent multiplayer location-based augmented reality applications. Then there is the OpenAI Cloud.
OpenAI Cloud's mission is to drive the development of open and interoperable spatial and computing technology, data, and standards to connect the physical and digital worlds for the benefit of all.
Augmented City, which builds persistent and shared augmented reality on a city scale. They offer an easy entry to a complex world of AR, from multiplayer games to industrial AR. XR Planet, that is an XR spatial web company. Their platform includes an XR cloud and AR and VR browsers, and a vicinity messaging system with APIs allowing developers to build real-world XR applications. Augmented Pixels, which is a leader in precise 3D geolocation with the next generation of 3D maps, crowdsourcing, on-cloud localization, AR navigation products on board. And Hololight, which provides the remote rendering solution of ISAR. And the ISAR SDK enables streaming of entire AR, VR apps and breaks the performance limitations for mobile XR devices. Immersal, which creates an AR experience that merges digital and physical realities for consumers, industrial use, ad campaigns, and more. Oops. Oh. This one is, which one?
ARway.
This is ARway. True Unity, optimized for Google and Apple. ARway grants you an augmented reality software kit to frame the digital worlds in a few minutes. And
XR Master is a spatial content management platform that enables its users to create persistent, shared, and rich experiences on the AR cloud, AR-based metaverse. And Zapbox, which is our sponsor, an affordable way to experience mixed reality powered through your phone. It combines physical components with advanced software to provide magical mixed reality experiences.
I want to say just one more thing before we move on to the important part of this panel. But about all these companies, first of all, you are welcome to learn more about them through the workshops that they offered. As you understand, they're all different companies. Sometimes they provide similar solutions, but they all came together to help actually the community here. Yeah.
And we already actually talked about our distinguished judges today. We were actually planning to do that right now. That's why I kind of missed Naomi. I'm sorry about that. It was this slide. But now we will be actually asking each of our judge about their vision for the AR cloud. And this time, let's start from this side, Lisa.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, so, as a deep technologist, spending as many years as I did at Hantal, and on some days you kind of think, well, what's really different? We've been doing client-server compute for a really, really long time. But I think what's really different now as far as, what we can achieve with AR Cloud is really in that connectivity with the real world to the digital and back. And I think the main thing that we're going to be striving for, both with that we strive for with OpenAR Cloud, as well as, my personal passion in the area and what I, bring to the table as far as, my recent joining of Magic Leap is really that spatial aspect. And not only spatial, but then the humanity, the humanness of that, and the human connection to those environments. And once you bring that into play, it's also then in the taking care of that data and the information, the sharing of the permission and sharing of data and information, and the consumption of that data and information, and the ability to then contribute to that environment in a persistent way. So I think that's what that's what I'm personally looking for in these projects. That's what I think the AR Cloud it really instantiates, and with the bringing together of all of the technology companies that are building different aspects of this. For me personally, I'm very excited. I think we're really at the cusp of the next generation of innovation. The next generation, I think, is spatial, but it's going to take us all working together to really kind of unpack that. And so that's why I'm excited for you guys to see some of these projects today and how those bring that to life.
Thank you very much.
I was listening to Lisa and thinking, what are the nice things I could say instead of all the things I'm thinking about? So the state of the AR cloud today is that there is no AR cloud, right? Today's, in 2018, when we all got together and talked about the AR cloud really coming together, and we sat here, one of the rooms with about 20 different developers that were all pioneering AR apps, very much aligned with this idea of an open, interoperable AR cloud. Here we are, 2021, and now it's metaverse. It's not AR cloud anymore, right? So I think that the ambition and goals and dreams of the AR cloud are actually more important than ever. And the spotlight that the metaverse narrative is putting on the AR portion, let's call it the AR layer of the metaverse perhaps, really draws out a different set of themes than, let's say, more pure VR immersive or game-based interactions. Because of the relationship with the real world, there's all kinds of ethical considerations, and there are all kinds of nuanced social aspects of this that really, I think, now have an opportunity to come to the forefront of the narrative. I think that Niantic's really trying to raise the bar on this and shine a spotlight in John's talk today. That's been a different narrative than, say, the meta narrative that's coming out. So, what is the future of the AR cloud? It's a layer in the metaverse, which is one application on top of the larger spatial web that includes things like the IoT and smart cities and smart governance and whole aspects of the world that have to be brought together into a larger sort of internetworking amongst all these different layers. So I think that the dream of the AR cloud has never been clearer or more in focus or more important or more necessary. I think that the term now needs to find its way in light of the context of many other terms and definitions, and this is an opportunity to re-characterize that, and this next generation of creators will be right at the center of that. So I'm very happy to be here today, but I just wanted to share those thoughts.
Thank you.
Yeah, I remember you and I met in 2018 when we were just kind of talking about the early, definition of the AR cloud. Back then, we didn't call it the AR cloud. We were just thinking about city-scaled or planet-scaled AR use cases. And we thought about how do we amplify a destination. And at first, a destination was just a place, like a large space, a museum, Disneyland, a campus. But then, the further down we looked, we realized that this technology is going to be spanning a much greater distance. It's going to connect people across the planet. When I think about what that future looks like, I imagine this really true fusing of the physical and digital world where I don't want to miss any points, so I've got some notes here. Well, I guess it's fusing in an informational sense, right? So you'd need to create a dynamic digital twin of the physical world first. And those two are in constant communication with each other. The world would need to be mapped and constantly updated. Methods to do that would be, IoT sensors, computer vision, LiDAR, geolocation. These are all different methods to do that. And AR content or any spatial content, for that matter, would have to live in this AR cloud. And attached to it would be all of the metadata associated with the physical attributes, and the AR cloud should be decentralized and open. And let's see, any other notes here? I guess my hope is that if it's done right, you can turn one world, the physical one, into infinite, because once you have a digital copy of the physical world, you can make infinite copies of it. And inside each layer could be different applications that suit society's needs, whether you're working, playing, or staying connected. And lastly, just like the internet, AR Cloud is not owned by one company. It is for everyone, and there's only one.
We don't need this, but I would like to say something to, first of all, I think that today what we saw is that we called it the AR Cloud Challenge, but it became actually mainstream today, because this is exactly what was in the speaker notes in the beginning of day one of AWE. This is what everybody is talking about, building this information layer, persistent multi-user information layer on top of the entire world. And I think that the visions that you described here is exactly what we should do. And for that, we came together for this challenge and as a community to actually actively try to build what we believe should be done. So, yeah, so it really spoke to me. And the next thing I want to say is how we instructed you to grade the different projects that were submitted. So we are scoring in accordance to these 5 categories. The first one are each of the projects is scored in each of the categories, and in the end, we sum it all up. And the first one is the principles of the AR cloud, and it's exactly what we talked about earlier, and the persistent, the multi-user, where is the technologies actually inside this project. The second one is the connection to the theme of connected world of the future, as this project has a potential to bring people together. The third one is the innovation, how much the application is something that you've never seen before, that pushes the boundaries of what have been done before. The fourth one, I think it's easy to understand, is the user experience, something that we think a lot of augmented reality applications should put more focus on. So definitely an important one. And the fifth one is the execution. I mean, ideas a lot of people have, but these teams actually worked days and nights for long weeks to actually create an application. We should applaud them for that. And this is the category. It measures more the progress that they did during these weeks than rather the absolute execution. But of course, there's still a long way to go. And without further ado, let's start seeing the projects and getting the feedback.
So let's go with the first project.
Oh, the sound? Yeah, but
this
Brian,
is the update. This is the updated version we got here.
Yeah. Yeah, second we'll get.
Compiled in the scans themselves, but
Can you restart it though? So
those scans, I think only 3 scans actually made it.
can you start it from the beginning because it wasn't possible? Okay. Thank you.
So this is just a brief wrap-up, basically, of the project. Finally was able to get greater access to Augmented City, and that resulted in actually being able to iterate graphics on the scans that I had put in, albeit I think I had over 1,000 photos compiled in the scans themselves, but next to no scans. I think only 3 scans actually made it. And here's the footage of actually having graphics in there, as well as I'm going to take out a phone after that and show you what the proximity thing concept is exactly. All right, so hopefully this is in focus. Okay, so you could see how the video kind of trails off as I'm approaching the purple cube, or sorry, the pink cube. The idea is you would go from light blue to medium blue to dark blue, super dark, and then to black. And that this could basically be done like cross-sectionally as a use case for augmented reality cloud.
Okay, so the first project from Devon, who's an AR enthusiast and artist that explores how the AR cloud technology can impact the interaction between users and the art that has been created. And we'll be happy to hear your feedback for him. Naomi?
Hello? Okay. Yeah, so I thought this was one of the more novel and innovative submissions that I saw, and I like that this focused on the artistic and creative side. As an artist myself, an experimental artist, a few years ago I was, trying to make paintings come to life by putting QR codes in my artwork, and then when you hold the phone up to it, stuff comes out and things move around and things like that. And this one made me come up with tons of new ideas I could do with a dynamically shifting art form. The submission read to me like architecture and not really an application. I envisioned many other kinds of apps being built on top of this submission. So in terms of judging against the AR cloud technologies, I did write out a list of the kind of technology pillars that would be required to power AR cloud. I was looking for something more that involved digital twinning of a space, and then you can have a little bit more feedback between the physical and the digital content. So I think the feedback category was really strong. The visual positioning was pretty strong. And I do feel like it needed a little bit more in the execution category. It took me a few viewings of the video to kind of understand the end vision or the end goal, but I'm really, really interested to follow your progress on this because I think I would like to use this at some point.
Thank you, Naomi.
So the triggers were a cool idea, and I think one of the challenges that's going to emerge over the next several years here as we start to explore these interoperable environments is what are the visual standards and themes that we're used to. We have browsers, they have search bars, there's back buttons, there's iconography that we're used to that is cross, it's internationalized, it's its own sort of design language. So I think exploring those kinds of languages with respect to persistent content and information, what are the hyperlinks of the future going to look like? That's really cool. I enjoyed that part. Some constructive feedback was the presentation itself was not clear. So the format for the presentation, not the application itself, did not make it easy to understand what the goals of the artist were from my perspective. And so I would want to encourage you to consider the presentation format itself, and make sure that one of the challenges of being an artist is that whenever you have to present your work, you actually have to become a curator as well. And so how you're bringing the audience into the position to be able to experience the art is a whole other aspect that has to be developed. And so that would be some additional feedback I'd offer.
Thank you.
And just to kind of bring, I agree with both of my co-judges' feedback there as well. And also as an artist, I'm fascinated by that idea of, the ability to create that, persistent experiential, art that is now, taking a little bit more advantage of space and time, et cetera. So I think consistent with the theme we've been talking about, very fascinated to see how this is going to unpack over time, and agree that this could be a very interesting platform for the surfacing of artwork and having responsive art in the way that it's been presented in the presentation, and would on the feedback side would also agree. Sometimes as an artist and somebody who is an artist and who's had galleries and et cetera, don't be afraid as artists to engage a secondary storyteller to help unpack your vision as well. So, because sometimes we get very close to it as artists, and having someone else kind of represent and tell the story, I think can be very powerful. This is just for creators in general, and more so in this new age of digitally connected worlds. I think that can be very helpful for projects as far as advice is concerned.
Thank you very much, Lisa.
On to the next.
The next project is City Guide, and let's play it and then I'll give more information.
Hi everyone, my name is Omri and I'm co-founder and CEO of City Guide, where we use AR technology to show you around the world. So, when was the last time you were in a new city or at a new event with questions about where and how to get around? Today's travelers spend days doing research and juggle way too many options for local guidance. The days of tourist bureaus, outdated travel books, or expensive personal guides being our only option for local information are long gone. Today's young travelers want instant access to digital guidance. To do that effectively, we need to embrace new technologies. Enter City Guide. We use a simple process to turn real-life people into virtual guides. Our guides can be found anywhere in the world, are COVID-friendly, can speak multiple languages, and best of all, they're never booked to capacity. So whether you're new to a city or just looking for a fun experience, find our AR guides at points of interest across town. Get the most important updates and information about an event. Don't miss out on discounts and promotions. And lastly, City Guide's AR influencers and VIPs will also stage for photo opportunities to be shared on social media. A bit of background about who we are. I worked for years on some of the world's most advanced consumer-focused augmented reality glasses technologies at companies like Magic Leap and Facebook. My co-founder is Pauline Fetter. She's a travel and event industry professional with over 30 years of experience in the industry at companies like Amadeus, South African Airways, and Frosh. Arturo Marufo works on our software development and brings with him years of experience in AR and VR development as well. Additional to our team, we are supported in this challenge by Immersive, whose SDK allowed us to bring AR experiences that merge both the digital and physical realities for consumer and travel use cases. Let's take a quick look at how Immersive and City Guide were able to collaborate on a project that helped art enthusiasts get a little closer to the inspiration behind the murals at Wynwood Walls in Miami, Florida. Hey everyone, this is City Guide's submission to the AWE AR Cloud Challenge. City Guide uses AR technology to augment real-life tour guides or famous VIPs at cities, landmarks, and events across the globe, improving the travel experience, increasing fan engagement, and providing our clients with valuable data on their visitors. We believe the future of connection is digital, and that's why we founded City Guide. So to kick off, we wanted to show a brief demo of how our experience works currently. We use GPS tracking to determine a user's location. Because GPS signals are notoriously unreliable at times, we use a wide range of about 30 meters to assume when a user is approaching a point of interest. However, this system is not optimal for locations with multiple points of interest in close proximity, as exemplified here at Wynwood Walls in Miami.
Welcome to the Wynwood Walls, a beautiful artsy attraction located in the Wynwood neighborhood of Miami, also known as the Museum of the Streets.
As it stands today, we could cover the general history of the walls, but because we currently rely on scan and click to instantiate our guides, we can never truly know the exact location that the guide will be placed in, as exemplified on screen now. City Guide is going to help you stroll through the neighborhood so that you can get close to the art and relate to every main piece on a personal level. The mural you see directly to my left is known as The Girl in the Rain, painted by artist Dan Kitchen. By incorporating Immersive's spatial mapping and visual positioning SDK, we were better able to identify user location down to the sub-meter accuracy level. This allows us to scan and identify each individual mural within the walls and choose a highly specific guidance instantiation location, which removes the need for scan and click, making the experience more accurate and seamless for the user. Because we now know the specific location of the guide, we can add context to our guidance by pointing to specific areas of the mural, as I demonstrate here by directing the user's gaze towards the girl with the umbrella directly to my left. In the center. Is she looking at us or past us? We'll let you decide. Thank you. Note that while I play the part of tour guide here, we can easily imagine that the guide could be anyone, even the original artists themselves, explaining their motivation and inspiration behind each individual mural within the walls. By taking full advantage of the AR cloud infrastructure, we can create a more enjoyable experience for our users. As seasoned travelers ourselves, we envision a future where you never have to leave home on your own again, because no matter where you choose to go, City Guide will always be there to show you around. Thank you very much.
So let's start from, again, Lisa, what are your feedbacks?
I mean, I thought this was a really interesting use of AR Cloud, starting to connect the the national treasures, the art, et cetera, and giving that kind of the guided tour, et cetera. The one thing that I would say that I felt was missing was it's very one-directional. So obviously it's using, context and spatial, et cetera. But from a user perspective, I think again could be a very interesting platform. If I would think from a feedback point of view, to actually give the users of the application the opportunity to contribute to those spaces, potentially even leveraging, a cup and coming technology of their own to do, semi-volumetric capture of themselves and have them be have an option for them to be the guide at that place, or leave, information behind for other people who come along to consume those. So I feel like that, rather than just being a one-directional guide service, that this platform should think about having the opportunity to have that user-generated content persistent in that space and time as an option.
So this is kind of a category of app that I think anyone that's ever traveled wants the AR cloud, to do. We want this kind of capability set where you're in some environment, you'd like to be, learn something about it, and you need that to be in situ and highly contextual. I think that there's a multimodal approach to something like that. Like it may be that audio is better in some cases. It may be that there's, some sort of avatar, there's content or information or pointers or things that are sort of doing visual call-outs as needed. So I like this idea of this as a platform, actually, and I think that this is kind of one of those inevitable apps. So it's a very strong category. The ultimate user experience, I think, is TBD, but and I thought the presentation itself was really well structured. But the same thing that Lisa's pointing out, which is that it's very one-directional. So it feels like an old media approach to using a new medium. And I think that that's where some additional innovation can be teased out of this. But it's got really great bones. And again, it's kind of, someone's going to win this, apps in this layer. So it's a very smart place to target. And it's extremely scalable, and applicable to so many use cases. So I think it's a very strong submission.
Yeah, I agree. It's a really strong use case. I've interacted with, a few city governments and large-scale events, including the World's Fair, and each one of these people asked for some kind of guide for, their event and locations. Yes, I think there's going to be some form of this app in existence. It's inevitable, and translations in different languages would have been cool too. I thought the AR features in here were really strong. The visual positioning was solid. I paid attention to the occlusion as someone walked behind the guide. There were shadows. It was the first example of a geolocated guide application that used volumetric playback, so I thought that was really cool. Feedback is that I thought it was light on the connecting people and the multi-user interaction. Like Lisa said, it felt kind of like a passive experience. It's one-directional. So if we wanted to do something more with connecting people, if there was a way to show that multiple people can interact with the guide at the same time or can do some kind of translation, would have been cool.
Yeah, now Amir is actually, as our distinguished judges talked about, started for a city guide that he already had. So this example was kind of what we actually are looking for, that he transformed his tap-to-place conventional AR into AR cloud-based AR, which was really very interesting to watch and work together with. Now the next video is Concrete Oasis. And do we have audio?
Welcome to the Concrete Oasis, where we're using augmented reality to celebrate water, our most precious resource, as well to elevate our collective consciousness. Behind me is one of our more successful tests of bringing water to Pershing Square.
Pershing Square was the social hub. People used to come together, socialize, and drink water from the same fountain, a fountain that represented all the different aqueducts that gave LA its water. Or today, this fountain holds no water. And this is a symptom or a manifestation of a major problem that California and other states are facing. So we hope that this project will allow Pershing Square to hold the opportunity again to bring people together and for them to share in this collective need to take care of our natural resources. And all of this in an experiential, innovative, and social way.
This is Dawn. I am the VP of Partnerships at XR Masters, one of the tech partners and sponsors of this AR Cloud Challenge. Our spatial authoring and browsing mobile app utilizes Augmented City's GeoPost service. Augmented City is also a tech partner of this project. For our app to work at a location, that location needs to be scanned or digitally mapped beforehand. Then the point cloud of the location is created on the cloud. Once the desired AR content is uploaded to our content server, XR Master's mobile app can be used for authoring and browsing persistent and shared AR content.
Hi, I'm Jan Erik Vinje and I'm all the way from Norway. As the Managing Director of the Open AR Cloud Association, I am super excited that we have had the opportunity to be a technical partner to the AR Cloud Challenge.
I'm really privileged in order to creatively sustain and help this project to get alive, and I will do whatever is possible in my artistic realm and conceptual realm to support this mission.
Okay, so that we've taken Jen's 3D model that he modeled in Medium, we passed that into Maya, and we've given it some UVs, and we've, from a top-down view, we popped that same riverbed into Substance. We've given it a material, and on top of that, we've made a mask that masked out the area that we want to put the water path through. This is a quick pass on it, but it's enough to get us started.
So we deal and start to deal differently with water and have a different perception around water. It's a unified field. We cannot separate ourselves from it anymore. And that's exactly where my graphical and artistic inputs come from. We can show now energy flows into each other.
In this project, we have tried to make the water as realistic as possible. And that is why we have added some transparency, some refraction, as well as some movement. Doesn't this look like a real water? And now, this project is waterful.
We're creating a multi-user social interaction that promotes behavior change. These are running faucets, and they're going to be placed around the location. When the user turns off the water, more water will be available for the concrete oasis to flourish. Our intention is that people will become more conscious of the impact they have on the water ecosystem and their communities.
In the past weeks, our global team have been scanning, creating, building, and testing with leading-edge technologies on the OpenAI cloud. We've learned a lot about the limitations of the technology, what doesn't work, and together with our tech partners, we're excited to be moving the boundary forward.
Yes. Yes, dear judges. Gabriel.
Okay, yeah. So this one hit most of the goals for this challenge in a really powerful way. You know, starting with the end, which is that there's an impact that is really only something AR can do, which is take an environment in its current state, transform it into an alternative reality, and then use that as an educational, personal sort of experience, or in this case even shared experience, to think about the impact you have on the environment and see that impact in real time. So really loved that capability. And the thoughtfulness that went into that. You can see there's a whole team of people here that really work together, presumably from all over the world, right, to coordinate around this. And so it's another great example of how you can develop these kinds of applications collectively, which is a type of cloud unto itself. I think that the sort of scanning of the environment and the persistence of the content and the dynamic sort of adaptation was very well integrated. And so, like, I really want to go use that app. I'd love to have that experience and see how I feel before and after. So I think it's kind of very powerful when you can have transformative art that ends up, you know, being sort of have social commentary as well, which I think was one of the big themes here. So I thought this one was wonderful.
Yeah, I thought this was a wonderful example of a vertical slice of the AR cloud. There was a, you know, digital twinning example, and I could really feel the feedback loop between the physical and the digital that was created on top of it, and it leverages a lot of the features into a functional experience. I think if you extend this out or scale this out to, you know, greater distances, this was localized to the park, but if you expand that out, you know, to a whole city or country or world, you can kind of see the unrolling of the AR cloud happening. I was looking for places where this could be more multi-user interaction. I didn't see a lot of that. I know it said this was kind of a shared space experience. If there was some way to show that, then I think that would be extra impactful. And I thought the water faucet feature was a nice touch to give the user feedback that they're actually impacting the world.
Yeah, and I think when we saw the little bit of a longer video, there was the persistence of the space and growing over time. So I liked that concept where it's not, so if I were to come back in a year from now, it would be different, I would assume, right? That was kind of the implication. And that, you know, I felt like that as a user had, you know, my impact was I could make an impact, and the impact was persistent. That was a key element. A very good usage of, you know, from a digital twin perspective, you know, the topography piece. We've already kind of mentioned the impact to connecting people not only to the current, but to the past and to the potential future. So from a storytelling perspective, it was quite strong there. Again, it would, you know, as my co-panelists have mentioned, it is an installation-based piece, obviously. So we can see these sorts of installations, you know, happening, you know, all over. So I think it's a good example of how the AR cloud enables, like, so you're gonna have that, you know, kind of the base layer, and then the different platforms that taking advantage of it to bring that to life. So I think it, to me, it was also, I felt, one of the more strong, you know, submissions that did leverage all of kind of the criteria for the project. And also the global team as well, but not really. It's not really a shippable kind of product, but it leverages a nice integration of solutions in that regard.
Great, thank you very much, Lisa. Now we're going on to the next one, and
last submission.
I guess last submission.
Remind AR. Remind them just how much you care. Remind AR is an augmented reality messaging application that allows us to stay thoughtfully connected. To be away from family or friends by physical distance is nothing new. Whether it be for school, work, deployment, or even quarantine, we are constantly pulled apart and looking for ways to stay connected. Mailing letters allowed us to be truly thoughtful and intentional in showing just how much we miss someone. And video calling enabled us to catch up and even strengthen our relationships in real time. As we move into the next era of technology, still with the desire to nourish our relationships, how can we maintain a level of intention throughout new mediums and create a more thoughtful future? Introducing Remind AR. With AR cloud technology, Remind AR creates experiences that are persistent, collaborative, and contextual. Users can choose to send AR messages immediately or schedule them. They can also be geo or image triggered for specific reminders, such as a birthday note at a favorite landmark or a memorable story on a framed photo. These messages can be typed, image, video, audio, 3D, or drawn. Recipients can view, interact, and reply with the same elements. The group messaging feature allows for real-time, multi-user interaction with always accessible, persistent content. Friends can engage with the same elements at the same time and communicate via the same features. Only confirmed friends can send or set messages for you. The privacy and safety of our users is important. Therefore, no data will be sold, and users are shown safety policies before creating new messages. Within the messaging AR space, there are three main competitors: Message AR, Messages AR, and AR Sticky Notes. As you can see, Remind AR's robust messaging features, geolocation and image-based triggers, scheduled messaging, multi-user interaction, AR cloud technology, and optimized user interface make Remind AR the best option for the market. To appeal to users, a freemium model will be introduced. In Tier 1, use is free, but there are ads and no scheduled messages. In Tier 2, users get a monthly subscription that has no ads and includes the scheduled messages. Currently, we are in the prototyping phase and will be moving into user testing. The team currently consists of myself, Lauren Owen. I am the manager of e-commerce, customer journeys, and user experience at Tommy Hilfiger, and I freelance as an augmented reality designer and developer. I will be expanding to include a second developer, marketer, and operations manager. Remind AR helps us let family and friends know that we are thinking of them, finding ways to stay connected, and deepening our relationships despite the distance that may separate us. This application of AR cloud technology has the opportunity to use augmented reality to deepen our connection with each other throughout time and space. And it starts with Remind AR. Remind them just how much you care.
Yes, I would like to ask you to just summarize your comments a little bit. We are running
out of time?
Yeah, a little bit, so if you can be a little quicker.
Sure, yeah. I thought this submission went to the heart of connecting people. It checked a lot of boxes in the AR cloud category. I like that it had multi-user interaction and geolocation. It kind of reminded me of, you can't even do this with Snapchat, so it's kind of like Pokemon Go meets Snapchat. You get the best of both worlds. I was looking forward to seeing how the AR part worked. There wasn't a video for it, and I was kind of curious what the content would look like, some examples. So a little bit needs work in the execution category, but overall great design and UX.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I love this submission. I was waiting for the end to get to see it, and I realized there wasn't an app to experience. But I think it was the most complete in terms of absolute vision and a very generalist application that you know will become extremely common, and those features will be embedded in all kinds of apps. So, but I thought this was an excellent submission, just lacking the execution piece, and yeah, so looking forward to seeing that at some point.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think I'll hire Lauren when I need my next startup pitch. She did a great job on that. So same thing. Having that user-generated content, that persistence, I think was great. Just similar to my colleagues here, looking, more for the more details on the execution. So, in that the meat of the details, were just a little lacking for me as far as that's concerned.
Thank you very much. And now, Omri is going to.
Yeah, and before the session began, we got the scorecards from the judges, and we are ready to announce the winners. So the winners are, drums now.
Drums. Concrete Oasis. And to represent her team, Susan Oslin is here. I would like to invite her to the stage. And please share a few thoughts.
Can you? Yeah, thank you.
Hi, I'm really glad to be here. Really excited. This was a lot of hard work for my team and myself. It was really a great learning process, understanding more about the limitations of the technology and designing accordingly. So a lot of things are going to change from a design perspective. And it is intended to be multi-user. We just didn't get to the execution of that. So the faucets are around the park, and as the plants grow, like everybody's in a shared experience and understanding that, their impact on the environment as collectively as a community, that they can make a change is kind of the concept. So yeah, that's all. I'm so eternally grateful to the tech partners. They really made a difference and helped a lot, and it was great to have that collaboration between the tech partners. And I hope that it was a learning lesson for the tech partners as well, because it was a total pain in the ass at the end trying to get things to work. And I had people on the other side of the world like staying up very late hours trying to help me when it was afternoon time, daylight in Los Angeles. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Well done.
And I would like to actually just tell you what you guys won. And you got the tickets as finalists, as you know, AWE. Thank you, Ori. Thank you, AWE, for giving tickets to all of our finalists. I think good applause is good for that. Thank you very much. And our sponsor, Zapbox, is going to present each winner with a Zapbox V2, the previous cardboard version, and then give the winners, when the new units are ready, they will be actually giving the Zapbox new V3 to every winner. So your team and you, Susan, will be receiving a Zapbox, both actually the current version and the next version. And thank you, Zapbox, for that.
And as the final slide, I want to thank you guys and the community for being here and doing the job and doing the work. And see you next year.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you to our moderators and judges. And that wraps up day one of our developer conference.